concept for those that are new to cross-listing as a whole, what we're essentially doing with cross-listing is we're taking these 5 classes, or these 5 sections, and we want to basically pick them up and dump them into one. We want to figure out which one's going to be the holding place. And generally, we make it so, you know, the lowest period is kind of like where you start. It's going to be kind of the home base for the rest of the courses. So essentially, to give you a visual of what we're doing, and cross-listing has never been my favorite term to begin with, because I kind of feel like it's kind of backwards, or what you think you're doing. You're literally combining the sections, and that's the best way to think of it. I'm going to combine 2 into 1. I'm going to combine 3 into 1. I'm going to combine 4 into 1, and I'm going to combine 5 into 1. And I'm going to then have one course. The sections will all be in that course, and they will remain independent of each other, but the work travels across, and all the content travels across all sections. So one of the first steps you want to do here is determine which one you're going to use kind of as your holding place. And there's 2 methods that you can use for this. And one is to go ahead and look at this number as soon as you click on a course. And this is also, if you ever need to call Canvas, and Canvas is, we have tier 1 support for Canvas, so never be afraid to call, because they are great at helping us out, and they're supposed to, this time is an especially busy time, but they are charged with answering the calls, and Neshaminy gets to the front of the queue to the extent possible. But I'm looking at that number right there that's highlighted, and it's 24292, and that is going to be an identifier that I can use as a method to do this alternatively, or a way to identify my course when I ever need to explain where I am to help or anyone else. While in the course that I've now designated to be the kind of landing spot, I can also rename this course, because this is the one that's going to be kind of the image or the tile that students see populated on their desktop. And what I want to do is I'm going to look at this naming convention here and make it one of the things I want to encourage you to add right away. And I've already made this Lawrence period 1, but I'm going to encourage you to put 2021 somewhere in this so that you can easily identify it, because as you move forward in years, it will become confusing seeing a list of courses that look very similar, especially if you're teaching the same content. So you can change something like this, and you can change the individual sections as well. You can change those sections here in advance, or you can change them afterwards, and I'll show you that method as well. Make sure you save it. And now this is kind of the best practice to be able to identify, hey, this is the course that I'm cross-listing into. This is the course that's going to be the landing spot for all the other sections. So back to the dashboard, and I can see that I've kind of modified that title here. Here's my landing period again. It's going to be show up in the description of the course. I'm going to now go to period 2. When I select period 2, I'm going to click on settings and allow myself to change the name of this course if I wanted to. Again, I might want to make sure that I say, hey, make sure I know this is period 2. That will not necessarily be on your section description that you are populated with through eSchool. But I'm going to maybe add period 2 or some other descriptor so that when I'm in the grade book, for example, I know which class is which. Otherwise, they may populate as being very similar unless you know the exact course code and things. It'd be difficult to distinguish. So I'm going to save that if I make that change. And now what I want to do is, in this sections area, I want to go ahead and click on sections. And this is kind of a redundancy step, but I'm in the section that I want to put into period 1. I'm in period 2. I'm going to combine it into period 1. And I actually have to select the section itself one more time. And then I can come over here and ask to cross-list this section. I'm going to cross-list period 2. Where am I going to put it? I can type that in here and see if it'll come up with a description. And it may populate right at the top, and sometimes you'll see these things travel down quite a ways to find the course. So I can do it that way, or I can go ahead and use that number, and either works, whatever you choose to do. You'll see that here's the course. It's asking me to verify whether I typed it in or whether I used the course code ID. I'm going to say that's the one, and I'm going to confirm it. When I go back, you'll see that I have period 1, 3, 4, and 5, because period 2 is now being housed here. And if I click on this section and I go on to sections, you'll see now I have period 1 and period 2. and then we'll repeat the steps. So we'll go through that again. Now I can just kind of repeat those steps, and as you get the hang of it, you can kind of start to fly through this pretty quickly. Now you can see what were 5 tiles are now only 3 remaining, 2 that I need to still cross list. Select period 4. Sections, select itself, so to speak. Cross list, yes. And again, confirm the landing spot. And now one more time. Again, choose settings at the bottom. Select the section, select itself, so to speak, cross list action, and confirm. So once you get the hang of it, you can start to really move with this, and it's a very minimal effort to accomplish, and you're doing this once a year, essentially, and you're finished. When I go back to the dashboard and I select this class again, and I see my settings, I can see now I have 5 sections. It's the original first period, and then the others are now here. And if you wanted to say, you know what, I want to rename this, I can edit the section, and I can come up here and type the name again or modify it so that I can distinguish it from the other sections. You may need to check your eSchool enrollment to select which course and how you're going to want to identify it, or the naming convention you want to use there. And that is cross-listing. Is adding people to your course. So just select the class or course or section that you want to add people to, and you select people. Now, you do not want to add students ever to your course, because if that's not if students are not populated by eSchool, that is not going to play nice as everything develops in your course, as well as conflicts arising all over the place. So this doesn't apply for students, but if you're trying to add people such as a TA or another co-teacher or co-taught course, or if you're sharing content, say in 5th grade, and you want people to all have access to each other's classes so that you can share content and information, you're going to want to maybe have a shared role. I like the easiest way is, I think, just to go ahead and put in the person's username. You don't need the whole email, and then you can choose as it. You may or may not, depending on the course, have even the option to add a student, but basically you're going to be selecting between TA, teacher, and designer. An observer is just going to be somebody that's going to be watching. That's somebody who has just rights to basically view only. A TA, basically distinguishing a teacher from a TA is they can grade, they can moderate, and they can do announcements. They're not editing content. So a TA is not going to edit content. A designer can create content, but no access to grades. So you may want to choose accordingly. It may or may not be a big factor, or you may just want to go with teacher and say next and confirm. And now you see that invite is pending. We have a new person in our class that can see all the content and contribute, and that way they can also come into this course and grab content for their own course as well. And that is adding people to your course.